In 1996, the Federal Reserve agreed to 9 changes in the design of all U.S. currency except the $1 bill. The most visible change was a new and larger portrait set off center. But turning the new designs into actual money was an enormous undertaking. It began in this attic studio at the Bureau of Engraving. Engraver Will Fleischl transfers a wax outline of the new Lincoln portrait onto a clean piece of 1/4-inch steel. Next, he'll begin to cut that design into the plate by hand. No cut can be deeper than the thickness of a human hair.
It's hard to even see the lines that I engrave without a 6-power to 10-power glass, and that's purposefully done.
The minute details make the portrait harder to copy accurately, but they also make the engraver's job harder.
You have to learn to control your breathing. You have to get used to looking under magnification for long periods of time.
Perhaps the biggest challenge facing the engraver is working in reverse.
Drawing in reverse is kind of a conundrum. I mean, you have to trick yourself all the time.
It can take up to 8 months to complete a single portrait.
I enjoy watching the image develop. This was a great man, but at the same time, he had a really raucous sense of humor. He was the kind of a guy that you could talk to. I try to convey that.
The use of portraits on the face of the currency is actually done for a security reason. People are used to looking at people's faces, and they can notice a lot of detail. They can notice differences, so that if someone else tries to reproduce that Ben Franklin and doesn't do quite as good a job, you'll notice that.
Another new security feature is much harder to notice. It's called microprinting. Some engraved letters are just 1/100th of an inch tall, much too small to be reproduced on a copier. All the letters are engraved by hand for 2 reasons.
Having a hand engraving rather than a computer-generated image gives us what we feel is not only the best image, but also a secure image. Even the same engraver couldn't reproduce that exact same hand-cut image if they tried again.
It's also for security reasons that no one single engraver ever does all the work. Once the portrait and letters are engraved, they're combined onto a single steel plate called a master die. There's one master die for the front of a bill and one for the back. It's from this master die that the printing plates will eventually be made, and that process is astonishingly complex. First, a sheet of special plastic is placed on the die. The die and the plastic are then baked together in an oven at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That sets the design into the plastic plate. The finished plastic plate is measured to check the depth of the design impression. If it doesn't match the measurements of the engraved image, it will be rejected. The plastic plates that pass inspection are then joined into a sheet of 32. Next, the sheet is sprayed with a thin coating of silver. Then it is lowered into a vat of nickel solution that contains pieces of pure nickel, here seen in green baskets. When an electrical current passes through the vat, it slowly deposits a layer of nickel onto the silver-coated plastic. The entire process takes 22 hours. original plastic sheet will be destroyed. The nickel sheet will be the actual plate that prints money. But the printing plates are not yet finished. They must first be scrubbed with a special solution to remove the silver. Then carefully ground down by a machine to a thickness of exactly 3/100ths of an inch. Next, a coat of chrome is added to harden it. Each plate is then shaped to fit the printing press. A plate can make 32 million banknotes before wearing out, so multiple working plates are made. The paper arrives here at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington. Today, they're getting ready to print new $5 bills. Each printing plate gets a final inspection. The plates are bolted onto the printing cylinders 4 at a time, enough to make 128 notes per revolution.
The Bureau produces, on average, about 38 million notes a day. That's pieces of paper, for a full face value of approximately $400 million a day.
To print that much money requires 3 tons of special ink a day. The exact formulas are kept secret, but black ink is used for the front of the bills and green for the back. Once the plates are inked, the paper can be added. The fronts and backs of all currency are printed separately. The fronts are always printed after the backs, so that the portrait will stand out clearly. It's critical that the paper be lined up properly. The press operator removes any sheets that have slipped out of position. Finally, they're ready to start making money. At full speed, the presses will churn out over 268,000 bills an hour.